I want to say that we are living in extraordinary times. There's an epic battle taking place between privilege and the marginalized, and it is being helped by technology and the creation of whole new communities. And I want to tell the 4 challengers to that law in Guyana that your time has come. And everybody's time has been coming to one degree or the other. And you may be inclined when you hear the side of privilege, of entrenched power, every day seeming to have the brute force on their side. You may be dispirited. You may not be able to believe your ears, the kinds of things people are saying. But I want to tell you that if it was not threatened, it will be silent and will be smiling in your face, and you will believe that all the way on. It is the challenge. It happened in South Africa. It is when power is most under threat that it rips off its mask of civility, and you see it at its most virulent. And it is meant to scare you, but clearly people are not being scared. So this is your time. To one degree or another, the mass of the people in the Caribbean have been living lives of improper purpose. The deaf in Trinidad today, the mute, you are not allowed to enter the country if you are deaf, mute, or if you're an idiot. Quote unquote, an idiot, that is in our law. Deaf children are going to school with no chance. It doesn't matter how much intelligence they have. By the time they reach high school and a year or 2 has passed, the ministry doesn't have enough money to ensure that a tutor, qualified tutor, is available to them. They fall off. You want to talk about marginalization? We are lucky in 1945. All the progressive minds of the country were harnessed and put to the task of determining, who is going to get the right to vote. Because in 1925, it's the first time people in Trinidad got the right to vote, and it was just about 5% of men who had property and cash. So by 1945, after the labor riots, there was no way that we were going to go back, and there was clearly the need to go forward. And yet, even our best minds who were part of that, the most progressive, came up with a position that you must be able to speak English. That was a condition. Fortunately, there were people like Kola Rienzi who stood alone because a vast number of Indians at that point only spoke Hindi, and they were going to be marginalized from the electoral process. And that did not hold, and everybody above 21 at that time got the right to vote. Then we've had every day. Now, I think the most useful thing I can do right now, given the excellent contextual framework and analysis that have been offered by the others, is to simply point out examples, because this is a moment to really put a full assault in moving this society, Caribbean society, from a society of privilege and contact to our rights-based society. And everywhere you see it Sparrow has a calypso about, I think it's Good Citizen, about in a million different ways. Well, in a million different ways, we are cut every day. We are humiliated, we are disappointed, we are told we are not good enough, that we are not fit for purpose. So if you go to court, and you have to make sure and wear the right clothes, the court will not hear you if you go with not a strapless dress or no sleeve. I went to, of all places, Point Lisas in the cargo department, and you have to wear closed-toe shoes and sleeves. I had a friend who went to Tobago House of Assembly, and she went with a strap, and she was turned at Tobago House of Assembly, not a church. Sent away because she was wearing strapped up. She was a foreigner. So she went home and put on her best pants and a white top that was up to here. She was sent away again because the pants was a cropped pants just below her calves. Tobago House. But those are the things that you have routinely. You have vendors knocked off, people who are looking to make $1, and the state would spend $100 million to make a bypass for courts of the highway. Nestles has an entrance. Look at Grand Bazaar. 14 incursions on the town and country planning. They were told they had to demolish it by town and country planning. And yet it stayed and it got the permission. And calculate how much money has been spent in creating a maze of roads. We have to go this way and that way and that way and come across. I know people who've lost their lives coming out of Grand Bazaar because at that time you didn't have all these exits and entrances. To protect that interest, the country spent hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, motorists don't know, they land up in Port of Spain trying to get to Mount Hope and so on and so forth. But do you know why? It is because money had power. And this is the soft ways and the invisible ways in which the power structure is marginalizing people. It is the topic of administrative violence. It is when you go into every government office and your best bet is to keep as quiet as you can and be very obedient because you will be put in the back of the line. And if you are poor, you have to come, but if you have money, you can make a phone call. Or if you are related, you could be poor and related. But the point about it, in a society that has been based on privilege, it has always been the whole strategy for gaining power, for entering the mainstream out of the margins has been, can I make a deal with power? And if you can't make that deal, there is no systematic process, no transparent process. If you are denied treatment, if you are denied service, where is your point of accountability? So we have many examples, but I want to say what we need is an alliance of communities that are interested in rights across the Caribbean. We need to support the Caribbean Council of Human Rights or any version of that, and to tackle this problem across the region. We need people among us, professionals who have capabilities or to contribute those. The state is not going to do it. You cannot expect a state that has evolved out of central power, especially in Trinidad where you had a crown colony government and therefore there was no House of Assembly. It was just a governor. It will not naturally evolve into a democratic government. It will only do so by force. And the way you have to do that is by organizing. We have to contribute in the same way our grandparents and parents made the sacrifice for us to become materially better off than them. We have to make the sacrifice to make the next generation spiritually, emotionally, and psychically better off than us. So I'm urging collaboration, I'm urging review of laws, look for all the many different ways. The best legal minds will find them. You have so many of them sleeping on the books, like criminal libel. Everybody says, what are you worrying about that? No reporter ever get locked up. But it is there, as is the case against these 4 persons, where when they want to use it, it's there to be used. We have to strike them out. Okay, and the other thing is the reaching out. The most radical, and I cannot say this enough, I say it everywhere I go, the most radical action in the Caribbean is unity. We are in the state, power is entrenched and plus un chars, plus un même chose. It only changes when it is in order to protect itself. Change doesn't come real change, except from below. But when the power structure changes itself and offers change, it is in order to protect itself. So that history of division, of managing large numbers of people, of a minority managing large numbers of people, has been done by division. Whenever we start to unite and to reach out of our silo to each other, it becomes a revolutionary environment and with consequences for the mass of the people. So I thank you.